We ran 13 races and won them all. So campaigns don't scare me, but I've got a lot of other things to do too.
We're back with another episode of the Searchlight Report, a podcast from South Dakota Searchlight that brings you up to date on policy and politics in the Mount Rushmore state. I'm your host, Meghan O'Brien. You just heard from Kristi Noem, former governor of South Dakota. She returned to the state earlier this month to unveil a statue commemorating her time in office. All former governors are honored with outdoor statues throughout the capital city of Pierre. A private foundation raises money for the effort, which does not receive government funding. Noem began her life in politics in the South Dakota legislature. She won a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives in 2010, ousting incumbent Democrat Stephanie Herseth Sandlin. In 2018, she was elected as the first female governor of South Dakota. She served until 2025 when she resigned to become Secretary of the National Department of Homeland Security. She was reassigned earlier this year as Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas. Noem says the job includes working with other countries to secure their borders. Noem, a Republican, was rumored as a possible U.S. Senate candidate earlier this year, but is not challenging incumbent Republican Senator Mike Rounds. Another South Dakota Republican U.S. Senator, Majority Leader John Thune, will face a decision about running for re-election in 2028. Politico reported earlier this month that Thune anticipates running, but the outlet anonymously quoted other senators who said he might retire. That's led to speculation about whether Noem might run for Senate in 2 years. A crowd of about 100 turned out for Noem's statue unveiling, including current Governor Larry Roden, who was Noem's lieutenant governor, and his wife, Sandy. Noem's mother, daughters, sons-in-law, and 4 grandchildren were also in attendance. She said her son Booker and husband Brian were unable to attend. Political advisor Corey Lewandowski, who is frequently seen with Noem, did not attend the event. The statue stands just a few blocks northeast of the state capitol building. In it, Noem is depicted wearing a cowboy hat and a belt buckle, facing the Capitol and holding the reins of the front half of her favorite horse, Iceman. It's near the entrance to a well-traveled walking trail through the hills of Pierre. In this episode, we'll bring you some of the sounds of the unveiling, including Noem speaking with reporters.
So, what does this statue mean to you, and how does it feel to be back in South Dakota?
South Dakota's home, so it's been so amazing to be here today and to see everybody that we love and to talk about memories, but also talk about the future. South Dakota's in a great space because of good leadership. We're thankful for all that this state will continue to be an example to the rest of the country.
So how did it feel for your lieutenant governor, now Governor Roden, just going up there and giving you just a glow?
Oh, I'm so proud of Larry and Sandy. They're fantastic people. They love this state, and they truly have the best of intentions to lead it into the future, to continue to be all that it can be. And to see so many people here and have my family and kids and grandkids has been remarkable. So I just want to thank South Dakota for giving me the honor of serving them and for living here and getting a place to call home. Yep.
There were a lot of things mentioned as far as things that your administration got through. When you look back on your time as governor, what would you say is something you're most proud of?
I'm proud of how we all did it together. No leader leads by themselves. And in South Dakota, truly, we had a team out of the governor's office, but also the people of this state, that when I trusted them with personal responsibility, they made the best decisions for them and their families, and I think that's why we excelled so well. So just grateful for people and that they love each other, and that this is one place that people still feel like they can really feel America.
South Dakota Searchlight received a tip that you're planning to run for Senate in 2028.
I'm not planning to run for Senate in 2028, so I'm planning to build a lot of fence, continue to help other countries build departments of Homeland Security, and work with the State Department to help President Trump continue to be successful.
Do you see any future where you would run for elected office to represent South Dakota?
I wouldn't take it off the table. I may someday, but we ran 13 races and won them all, so campaigns don't scare me, but I've got a lot of other things to do too.
What especially has your energy and focus as special envoy to the Shield of the Americas? What's a 9 to 5 look like?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's not really a 9 to 5. I have the opportunity to work with all the countries in the Western Hemisphere to help them do what we've done at the Department of Homeland Security over the last year and a half. So we're working with them to help them secure their borders, deal with illegal immigration, which a lot of our problems came from Latin and South America. Also help them protect their critical infrastructure and build businesses and economies to help people be successful. So everything that we did in America the last year and a half at the department, the world was watching. And now they want that same kind of expertise and wisdom to help them be successful like this country has been.
Do you view your time with the Shield of the Americas as sort of a continuation of your time as DHS Secretary?
It is. It's allowing me to use everything that I did at the Department of Homeland Security to go and advise other world leaders on how they can do that same thing in their countries. And it's interesting, and not only through the Shield getting to work with the Western Hemisphere, I've had countries from the Middle East reach out, countries in Europe reach out. They want to know how to spend their security dollars. They want to know how to train their policemen, how they can train their military. And I'm grateful I get the chance to use what we've learned to help them do even more to protect their people.
Hi, I'm Seth Tupper, editor at South Dakota Searchlight. If you want to know more about what questions will be on the ballot or keep up with the candidates for state and federal elections, we've got the coverage you'll need this election season. Our reach goes from East River to West River with journalists in Sioux Falls, Pierre, and Rapid City. You can check out our election coverage on our website, southdakotasearchlight.com, and subscribe to our free newsletter at southdakotasearchlight.com/subscribe.
Noem's statue is the latest addition to the Trail of Governors. The nonprofit organization of the same name has spent over a decade collecting donations and placing commissioned, life-size statues of former South Dakota governors throughout Pierre. All 32 past governors are represented along the outdoor trail, which winds through downtown and around the Capitol grounds. Noem's statue cost $150,000, nearly double the cost of past statues. Donors for Noem's statue included family members and political allies, according to the Trail of Governors website. The Trail of Governors president, Rick Jensen, spoke at the unveiling of Noem's statue.
This started as an idea in 2010. The first unveiling was supposed to be in 2011, but we had a little flood here. So we waited till 2012. So this is actually the 11th unveiling we've done. We did 3 statues a year for 10 years in a row, and somehow we got really ambitious one year and did 4. So looking back, I don't know how we raised the money and how we got that done. But so the statues will continue every time a governor leaves office, and we hope that these statues continue to educate, inspire, and welcome visitors to Pierre and to our state for many years to come. Each Trail of Governor statue is entrusted to the city of Pierre, and it becomes part of a permanent collection that belongs to all South Dakotans. Today, we're honored to present Governor Kristi Noem's statue to the city of Pierre as a gift from the people of our state. This is not an inexpensive venture. I think we've raised about $2.6 million, and there's a misconception that some people think it's public funds, but it's all private, thanks to you donors, and I see so many out there, I couldn't name you all right now. So. Also, we have a Trail of Governors endowment fund held at the Community Foundation, and we use that for maintenance and cleaning of the statues.
Noem's statue was sculpted by artist John Lopez of Lemon, South Dakota. Her official governor portrait was also revealed the same day as her statue unveiling. It was painted by David Ewell of Colorado and will be displayed in the Capitol. After speeches at the statue unveiling by Pierre city leaders and Trail of Governors organizers, Noem spoke, introduced by Roden.
So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming a leader of significance, a woman who made history, who made South Dakota stronger, safer, and freer. My dear friend, the 33rd governor of the great state of South Dakota, Governor Kristi Noem.
Please be seated. Goodness, Larry. Well, thank you all for coming today. I will admit that I thought with everybody's busy schedules and everything, there was this little thing in the back of my head wondering if anybody would come to today's celebration. And I just so appreciate looking across this crowd of faces to see so many people that I dearly love. So many people that have walked alongside our families over the years, have held our children and have gone to campaign events with us, have rodeoed with us, have just done life together. And I think that really truly is a testimony of what South Dakota is that we aren't just citizens of the same state, that we're all members of the same family. I want to thank Governor Larry Roden and First Lady Sandy for their leadership. They have been incredible people of integrity to lead South Dakota after I have left the state and gone to serve with President Trump and his administration. I've been grateful for them and all that they have done. And even last night, in all graciousness, they offered to host our family for dinner at the governor's mansion. And so the kids and I went over there, and all the grandkiddos, and we were running around chasing rabbits and picking tomatoes without permission and getting dirty. And Mom was there with me too. And last night when Mom was getting into bed, you were kind enough to let her stay in her old room that she used to stay in when we lived in the governor's residence. And I went in there and I was tucking Mom into bed, and we were talking a little bit, and I said to her, it was about 10:30 at night, and I said, Mom, thank you for coming. I know that this is a lot. And she said, look at me. I'm laying in the governor's residence, getting tucked into bed. What's hard about this? So she loved it. But we have just so appreciated Larry and Sandy and their friendship over the years and all that they have done to walk alongside of our family. You know, you all know our family, and Brian and the kids have done everything with me as I've served in whatever role that I was in, and we've done it as a family, loving each other and getting through them together. They're been my greatest encouragers over the years, and we all just so dearly love each other. I know that Brian and Booker don't get the chance to be with us today. Booker, in fact, is serving as a missionary in the Middle East. So I would continue to ask you to lift him up in prayer, that God keeps protection over him as he tells people about Jesus all over the world in the darkest places that need to hear about him. But we are so grateful for you, and everyone in our family wants to let you know how much we love you and we appreciate you. And thank you for opening up your homes and your hearts to us as we continue to walk. You know, I've always believed that South Dakota was a small state, but that made us special. That made us a small state that could be nimble, that could do things that other states couldn't do. We could almost be a pilot project for what we wanted America to be like, and put in place reforms, and we all did that together. And I think that's why South Dakota continues to lead the nation in the example that it sets. It's a city on a hill, a shining example of what freedom looks like, and will still continue to be that way for many generations to come. The Trail of Governors, I want to thank you for the work that you do, for the history that you're dedicated to telling our kids and grandchildren about past leaders. I know I've appreciated all that you've done in educating us and our family about South Dakota, our beginnings, those who stepped up and served, and the fact that you worked with us so much on this statue. For me, when they first came to me and said they wanted to do the statue, I said, well, shouldn't I be dead first? And they said, no, we've done a few of them and I said, well, I would appreciate it if we could wait until then, because it just seems strange to do a statue when you're still alive. And I said, well, then if we're going to do one, I really want my horse to be in it. And that made things complicated. Iceman is a very, very special horse. He is just a sorrel gelding, registered. His registered name is Ashwood Iceman, but he's solid. He's steady. He never gave me a single fit or a bad attitude. There was one parade where he wasn't so kind to Larry, but I was kind of okay with that. Just kind of proved that he was my horse. But you know, you take a horse and put him in a buffalo roundup when they haven't experienced it before, and it can get pretty dangerous. And he was just a rock star. No matter what situation I put him in, he was the very first horse to carry an American flag at a professional bull riding event, where they actually dropped fireworks on his head and lit the arena floor on fire. And he walked out there and stood proudly with the American flag. So he's still with me. He's got a little arthritis in his knees because of all the things that we put him through, but he's very, very special. And the fact that you allowed us to have Iceman in the portrait and in the statue is very special to me and to my family. You know, my dad was a cowboy, and every day I still miss him. He died when he was 49 years old in an accident, but most people don't realize this. When I grew up, my horse pasture gate had a sign that hung over it, and it had this sign that hung over it that had a quote that Dad had made and put there for us to read every time I went out to catch my horses. And it said, "There's nothing so good for the inside of a man as the outside of a good horse." And I read that all the time, and I truly thought it was true. I didn't realize until I got to Congress that that was a Ronald Reagan quote. My dad wasn't a political guy. The fact that he hung a Ronald Reagan quote over my horse pasture gate is pretty remarkable. And then I got elected to be the 33rd governor of South Dakota, and Ronald Reagan was the 33rd governor of California. And it just all is incredibly special. And right now I've got 3 cowboys at our ranch hanging that very same sign above our horse pasture gate that we just built brand new, to continue not just to remember my dad and all that he instilled in us kids when we were little and the values that he gave us, but also our leaders and our presidents and people who have led this nation through challenging times, but did so with a smile and a sparkle in their eyes like President Reagan did. You know, I want to thank as well John Lopez. I've loved him ever since I first saw him. I think you can tell a good heart on someone when you meet them. And he's just always been special. I think I first paid attention to you, John, because my mom thought you were cute. And she made us drive all the way to Lemon to meet this cowboy that was cute. And we found out what a good artist you were, and she'd always admired you. So thank you for doing this. This means a lot to me. I know how busy you are. You're traveling around the world, gracing people with your gifts and talents that God has given you. The fact that you put this much time and effort into this sculpture means the world to me, and will hopefully to my children and to my grandchildren as well. And then I first met David Ewell when I think he reached out to Beth and said that he had taken a picture off of a cell phone at the Buffalo Roundup that he had painted a portrait of, and he wanted to give it to me. And gosh, nobody loves America like David Ewell. He's the greatest patriot that I know. He's been the main artist for Harley Davidson for many, many years. He's traveled the world, been an example, but he dearly loves his freedom. And not from South Dakota, but I think he secretly wishes he was. But that picture that he painted off of that cell phone still hangs in my office at the State Department today. It hung in the governor's office. I took it to Washington, D.C., and it hung at the Department of Homeland Security. And then I moved it over to the State Department for the Shield of Americas when I moved there to continue to work with President Trump to help other countries secure their borders, deal with migration, to bring safety to their communities and their homelands so they could be better allies of the United States. Thank you, David, for all that you do and for who you are and for your heart. I'll always strive to be more like you.
We'll be back after the break to wrap up Noem's speech.
South Dakota journalism is changing. Traditional, corporate-owned media outlets have reduced their staffs. Newspapers have lost pages and publication days. That's why South Dakota Searchlight shares its work with other outlets for free. We hope local outlets republish our statewide news and commentary, and we hope that frees them up to focus on their community. That means you might see our work at southdakotasearchlight.com, in your local paper, on the website of your local TV station, or even on the airwaves of your local radio station. All of that is possible with your support to our nonprofit mission. You can help at southdakotasearchlight.com/donate.
Finally, Noem spoke about her friends, family, and faith.
And with that, I do want to give a special little shout out to Beth, who has helped facilitate all of this with Tony. I know they spent many, many phone calls organizing things, saying, well, she really would like the horse in there, and really being my advocate on behalf of just really making sure that today went well. And I know, Beth, you spent a lot of time doing this. Thank you for always walking alongside. How many of you in the crowd know Beth because she's always been with me? I pray I never have to spend a day where Beth Hollitz isn't one of my best friends. Her and Leslie are remarkable. But I want to thank my kids. Cassidy and Kennedy and Kyle and Tanner are here tonight. Why don't you guys stand up with the grandkids real quick? Cass and Kyle, you stand up. They have Miss Addie. Miss Addie, do you want to stand up? Miss Addie's 5. And then we've got Branch, who's 3, right? Big, strong Branch. And then Lenny Lou is 2. And then Kennedy and Tanner have Noah, and I'm not sure where Noah went. She's a year and a half. She was talking a lot. So, but the best job I've ever had in my life is being a grandmother. And then behind that was being a mom, and then it was being governor of South Dakota. Mike Rounds used to say that all the time. Being governor was the best job he ever had. It truly is an amazing job. I loved working for President Trump. I was telling him a couple days ago, I said, you know, you were the first person really that I've worked for in over 30 years. Ever since my dad passed away, I always was able to work for myself or work for the people of South Dakota. And he said, Kristi, it was so easy working for me. Yes, sir. Yes, you're right. It's so easy working for you. But he wishes you all well, and he loves this state too. He came back to South Dakota for the fireworks because of his respect for the people of South Dakota and what you all have done together. I just want to tell you one story before I'm done. You don't need to hear any more from me. But when I first got elected to Congress, I was miserable. Dusty probably knows a little bit about this. It's a huge adjustment. You get to Washington, D.C., and you're in the House of Representatives. It's chaotic. You're giving speeches, going to meetings, and then about year or two, you realize you're having the same meetings you had before. Things aren't getting fixed. You feel like all you're doing is talking. And I was away from my family, away from my husband and my ranch, and everybody that I loved, and could not figure out what I was doing there. I just thought, what did God do? Why am I in this city and everything that I love is back in South Dakota? And then I was on the House floor, and I walked off the House floor, and one of the floor staff was having an argument on the phone with someone. And he hung up, and it was an argument with his brother, and he looked frustrated, and I asked him if he was okay, and we had a conversation. And through that conversation, we talked about our faith and about God and how he walks alongside you, and I had the chance to share Jesus with him. Just a day or two later, I was in my office. Most people probably know this by now, but we didn't have much money, so I lived in my office. I slept on the couch. And so I was always there at night working late, and the cleaning lady came in at about 11 o'clock at night to empty the garbage cans and stuff. And I hadn't met her before, and so I started talking to her and asked her if she wanted to have a cup of coffee and if we could visit, and she did. She said, well, that'd be nice. And we sat down and talked for about an hour and drank coffee. We ended up talking about our families and talked about our faith. And she got up to leave when she went back to work, and she said, you know, I've worked here for 30 years, and I've never had a member of Congress talk to me, much less sit down and have a cup of coffee with me. And I thought that was pretty special. She left that night, and the very next day, I walked into the bathroom in my office building, and one of the ladies in there that was cleaning the bathrooms was sobbing. And I asked her what was wrong, and she said her 14-year-old son had just been arrested for stealing. He'd gotten involved with some gang members in Washington, D.C. She didn't know what she was going to do, and I just took her hands, and we prayed for her son. And I hugged her, gave her my phone number, and when I left the bathroom, I started walking down the hallway to go to a committee meeting, and all of a sudden it just hit me. And I thought, I thought God had sent me to Washington, D.C. to pass bills, to fix legislation, to give speeches, and to do things that were important, when really what he had sent me to do was just to minister to people. That I was supposed to be there. And see, we get caught up in that all the time. We start thinking that life is about accomplishments, about things that we do, and the things that we can write down that we did a great job at, or even our failures we keep track of and try to do better and strive to do better as well. But really what God's just placed us here to do is to be in relationship with people, to minister to them, to be there for them. This role as governor and my role as Secretary at Homeland Security has allowed me the opportunity to do that in a very unique way. I had a leader named Arthur Brooks tell me one time, he said, Kristi, never get angry on behalf of yourself. Always get angry on behalf of other people. Always keep your focus on what you can do for other people and serve people and minister to them. I would just like to ask all of you as we end here today to remember that our life is wonderful. We are blessed. God gave us incredible families and people that have surrounded us, but we're in the people business. I love my family. I love the Noem family. I love the people we've adopted into our family, and I always will. Nothing will ever change that. But we also are called to love the people that are in our lives that we cross the paths for. I'd ask you all just to slow down. Notice the people around you that may need you to say a kind word to them, to reach out to them, because that, I think, is why South Dakota is so strong. That's why I think this is a special place. God has his hand on this state in a way that no other state has. There's a scripture verse that throughout COVID and all the challenges we had, the bomb cyclone, the derecho, the 1,000-year flood, everything that we went through while I was governor, was in 2 Timothy, said that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. He blessed us with a sound mind to make good decisions. We will continue to do that, and we'll do that while we love each other too. So thank you. God bless you. Thank you for the powerful prayer earlier as well. Thank you for all of you and blessing me and my heart and my family today. We love you so much. Have a wonderful day.
That's all we have for this episode of Searchlight Report. Audio for this episode of the podcast came from recordings by South Dakota Searchlight. The podcast is based on reporting by South Dakota Searchlight staff, editor Seth Tupper, senior reporter John Holt, and reporters Joshua Heyer, Mackenzie Huber, and me. I write the scripts and produce the audio with editing by Seth Tupper. South Dakota Searchlight is part of States Newsroom, the nation's largest nonprofit news organization. Until next time, I'm South Dakota Searchlight's Meghan O'Brien with the Searchlight Report.